Joined here on the set by Jeremy Rogalski with more information on the serial bomber. We do know his name. Now, what else have you learned, Jeremy?
So I spoke with the owner of a company where Mark Conditt worked for the past 4 years. The company is Crux Manufacturing. It is in Pflugerville. It's an engineering and machine shop, a sort of turnkey operation that buys raw materials from vendors and works up some plans and then makes parts for various applications in the oil industry and so forth. The owner, who only wanted to identify himself by his first name, Tim, said he hired Mark Conditt about 4 years ago when he was 19 or so. I asked him why he hired him. He said, well, he seemed like a smart kid who had a lot of promise, and so he hired this young man, and he worked in purchasing and sales, we are told, for this manufacturing company in Pflugerville. The owner did say that he had to let him go last August after about 4 years. I obviously asked him why. He said he wasn't meeting expectations, he wasn't taking job tasks seriously, and the company could no longer keep him on. I asked about his personality, which we all want to know. We want to get into the mind of Mark Conditt. He said he was very reserved, very introverted were the words that this small business owner used to describe this serial bomber. He said that he was not confrontational, but he would prioritize things in his own way, this small business owner said. And so in the sense of doing the job and getting things done, he said he would not take those tasks to the hands. They gave him several warnings at the job. He did not heed those warnings, and again, they finally had to let them go. So there was no apparent acute incident, Ivana Bryan, that caused his firing last August. But again, this information coming from a small business owner of a semiconductor business up in Pflugerville, who worked with this young man for 4 years or so.
And Jeremy, we know from talking to law enforcement that they have interviewed dozens, if not hundreds, of people as part of this investigation. Did you get a chance to ask him, or did he say whether or not he had been interviewed by federal agents at all?
He did say that he was notified yesterday, I don't know exactly what time, by authorities, don't know which agency, that in fact Mark Conditt was a person of interest. So that coincides, Tony, with a timeline we've been talking about, that in the last 24 hours or so, that he was identified as a person of interest, and then, from when you piece together everything, the ball really started rolling in terms of, trying to track down his trail.
Did the owner, perhaps, maybe as you were speaking with him, did he seem somewhat shocked or surprised, or you didn't get any kind of a grasp as to what he personally felt about being asked about Mark Conditt? Yeah,
absolutely. I think this was a shock to him as well as it was to everybody. You can only imagine, this is a small business. He has about 20 employees. So we're not talking a medium or a large type of operation where you're just another worker punching a clock. This was a rather intimate environment, a small, not quite a mom and pop shop, but a small business. And just think about it, somebody you're working with side by side for 4 years or so, all of a sudden you get a call from authorities saying he's a serial bombing suspect. So yeah, quite blindsided, quite a blow. But I think the takeaway here is how this small business owner described him. Again, very reserved, very introverted were the exact words he used, and very quiet.
And he had to let him go.
Yeah,
back in August, you said, which seems to be a big step in this.
It could, and we obviously would like to learn more. A couple other tidbits we'd like to add that we've been kind of piecing together from the small business owner as well as from some social media posts. The small business owner confirmed what we have been hearing, that he was homeschooled. So we have that other bit of information about Mark Conditt. He also, for what it's worth, said he was into gymnastics, and he was an avid gymnastics enthusiast growing up. And so, all these things sometimes can be benign, but again, we're trying to paint the picture of who this young man was.